Major John Madden on the street in El Diamante, Mexico. On the street, the carretera, the outlaw carretera. Hola, señores, muy alta. I love to tell them they're so high. They're so high. They think I'm a gringo idiot, but harmless. So I've got men on my mind this morning, and relationships among men and the way men give each other their propers. And especially I want to talk about the way men in Mexico are super cool. Super cool. And it's especially because the women in Mexico are not criticizing them, like the women in America who will not stop trying to put limits on men and accuse men of being sexist. And catcalls and all that. No, they're relaxed. They're relaxed in their manhood. And as a result, they're really good with their women and wonderful nurturing with their kids. And I especially want to tell the story about angels, men angels. It was triggered because on my way into Erica's tienda over there, I took off my baseball cap, my great VW cap. VWs are everywhere in Mexico, and I'm a big VW fan myself. And I came out and I forgot it, and I was halfway over here and I realized, and I said, thank you, angel, because I always feel like some angel has reminded me, because I forget things like, it's a compulsion the way I forget things. So I always say, thank you, angel, and I got to thinking about angels in Mexico, not angels in America, which were gays. That was a fabulous play. These are angels in Mexico who are very male, but very calm and not macho. Not macho. I have yet to encounter a macho man in Mexico. Anybody that I would call macho. And especially I want to talk about a Mexican man named Angel. It's a really common nickname in Mexico. Miguel, our host, one of the hosts, the son of the older Miguel, his nickname is Angel, and that nickname is all over the place. Well, that Angel, I was coming out of Martinez de la Torre up in the mountains, big agricultural center, amazing town that is just a 2-hour bus ride from here, and I keep going back there because I love it. But that was my first time in Martinez, and my car, my big camper van, stalled out on the carretera, on a little ridge going over a hill, stalled out on the road, very busy road. And there was a slight incline down, and I myself was able to push it off the road. And this guy across the way pulls up on the other side of the road in a gorgeous red Jeep. Oh my God, it was a beautiful Jeep. And it had the big military-style metal bumper in front. And he said, you need help? I said, yeah. So he whipped around and pushed me down into the Pemex station. It was a little hairy, but we pulled it off, and pushed me into a pump. And he said, well, try to start it. And he listened, stuck his ear against the gas tank and said, you're out of gas. And I said, no, I'm not out of gas. I've got a quarter tank of gas, or maybe an eighth of a tank, plenty of gas. And he listened to it again, and he says, I'm a mechanic. I know cars. You definitely have too little gas. That's your problem. And I absolutely knew he was wrong, but he was so charming and so fun, and I a little bit had the hots for him. I haven't had a gay experience yet, but eventually I will. And he was just amazing, and I just was totally in the palm of his hand, and I let him put my last 160 pesos in gas in the car, and it never helped at all. And he said, I'll be back later. Let me come back around. I gotta do some stuff, and I'll be back in 2 hours. Well, that guy, on a Friday night, he found something better to do. He never came back. But angels are all over Mexico. And the whole thing in the U.S., it's payback time in the U.S. between men and women. Men have oppressed women forever, kept them on a short leash, glass ceiling, and now women are doing it to men. All the things you may not do, may not say, men are walking around on eggshells, afraid To be masculine, afraid to be masculine, for fear they'll be called a pig or sexist or too much testosterone. Yeah, it's a disaster. It's a train wreck what's going on in the U.S. The most seminal thing that's happened for me in the last 4 years, after my big spiritual wake-up call exactly 4 years ago, was that a few months later, I punched a guy. Me, who had not been a fighter ever, threw my first punch. Very busy car there, sorry. Those little pickup trucks, you don't see those in the U.S. Texas, they don't want little pickup trucks. Oh, it's gotten so noisy there. I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna shut up. No, I'm gonna finish that story. Alan, my racist neighbor in Asheville, North Carolina, had grievously insulted my black friend. Big, strapping black guy. Hola! Who was, I took him in off the street. He was a brilliant blues musician, and everybody in the building loved him but Alan, who called him boy. And so I punched him. I punched him because Eric was going to have to, and he was on probation for fighting. He needed not to go to jail. He had a huge, wonderful gig coming up that weekend. And it wasn't like me at all, but I got so excited about it. So excited. I wasn't a good fighter, but I landed one and got arrested for it. And the whole thing was a coming of age for me. The woman cop in the cruiser going down to the station house to book me said, so let me get this straight. Towing cars to Central America to sell them down there. That's a big deal in this car, Tara. She says, let me get this straight. You punched that guy so that your black friend wouldn't, because you thought the legal system would go easier on you. And I said, yeah, that's right. She said, awesome. Good work. Good work. Because she understood. Women, there are women fighters, and I've met some, especially up in Appalachia. So it's not just a male thing to fight, but mostly it is. But women cops understand that sometimes force is necessary. Sometimes force is necessary. My progressive women friends in that town did not understand that. They were horrified. Oh, here comes the gas truck. All right. I love this. Woo! Love the gas truck. Yeah. So yeah, my women friends gave me shit like, you men and your testosterone. And I said, you know, ma'am, us men actually do have testosterone, and in general, there are women fighters, but in general, us men have a different relationship with violence. Yeah. And another common answer I'd give when they're bringing gas to the hotel and the restaurant where we hang out. When they'd say, well, I hope you got that out of your system, I'd say, you know, I think next time will be easier, but the reason there hasn't been a next time is because I have found inside myself the force that when a man tries to threaten me, I do not back down. I do not back down, and they give up. Because they're woofing. They're woofing. It doesn't always work. It doesn't always work. In Chicago, it's not going to work. They'll pull out a gun and shoot you. In Texas, they'll shoot you. But in Mexico, they won't, because they don't have guns. We've got it that Mexico is so violent. No. Look at the stats for how many gun killings there are in the U.S. How many mass shootings are in Mexico? No. Cartel violence is very much local and mostly driven by American money. Yeah. Men in Mexico rock. Mexican cowboy, super stud, Reynaldo. Hola, señor! I love to play with that kid. We always play in the store. Yeah. I love to give young men their propers. Yeah. Okay. It's good to be a man. It is. And good to be a woman. I love women more than ever. But I won't take shit. No. I won't suck up to a woman. No. It's better that way. Way better that way.